Welcome to Us Crazy Christians, where we uncover Christian myths and Bible misinterpretations with common sense Christianity. I'm your host, William E. Smith, and today we're going to talk about the paradigm shift. Stick around. Many years ago, I read a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, a great book. And there was a story he talked about a paradigm shift he had. I believe it was on a subway or a bus. Train, I think it was a train. Look, I read this book a long time ago, so I don't remember all the details of the story, but I do remember the gist of it, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, Stephen Covey was on this train, and him and a bunch of people were on there just relaxing. They had this long trip, and all of a sudden, a man gets on the train with his kids, and I think he had like 3 or 4 kids, or maybe 2 or 3, I don't remember. He had some kids, 3 kids. Let's go with 3 kids. So, he gets on the bus with these 3 kids, and the man sits down and just puts his hand in his head, and his kids commits to running amok on the train, just running around wild, bothering people, loud, just irritating the people, and just not sitting in their seats, bouncing all around off the walls and everything in the train. And Stephen Covey is looking at this man and looking at these kids, and he's getting irritated. He's like, what? You're not doing anything to help you. Why don't you see these kids are harassing people? These your kids. Can you? And eventually, after a while, Stephen Covey decides to go over to the man. He said, "Excuse me, sir, but do you notice that your kids are bothering people? That they're something like the gist of they're kind of out of hand. Can you grab hold to them?" And the man says, "I'm sorry." He said, "We just left the hospital. Their mother just died. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to raise these kids on my own. How are we going to make it? And I guess my kids don't know how to respond either. I'm sorry. I'll take care of it right now." The kids were acting the exact same way. Nothing had changed. They were still bothering people. They were still off the wall. But because he saw it differently, because he saw it not from his viewpoint as the irritated passenger, but he took the time to go talk to the man and communicate, and he was able to have a paradigm shift. So all of a sudden, these kids were no longer bad kids. They were wounded kids in turmoil. His heart reached out to them, and he wanted to reach out and spend time with these kids and help them smile and help them cope and spend time with them. They were no longer pesky brats terrorizing everybody on the train. The actions had not changed, but the mentality about it had. That is a paradigm shift. And I thought about this after I did my video on the big red dog. And if you haven't seen the big red dog, I'll attach a link to the big red dog video at the end of this one. But I saw this big red dog as this bully, this horrible dog harassing other dogs in the neighborhood. Because of my own filter, because of my own standpoint, because of my own fear and hatred of bullies. And a paradigm shift is something that is very important to our lives. Even if we don't have the paradigm shift, we need to be wise enough to realize that it is a great possibility that the way we see things are not the truth. I had a pastor in Detroit. I love this man. His name is Pastor Tyrone Temple. And he always says, "I see everybody with a 10 on their forehead. They're a 10. Everybody's a 10. I'm a 10. You're a 10. Everybody's a 10. And he didn't just say that, he lived by it. There would be times I would do stuff that I know I was off the rails, and I had done stuff I had no business doing. I had messed up and it had gotten back to him, and he would treat me like I had never done anything. He didn't look at me any different, didn't talk to me any different, didn't hug me any different. He said, "I love you, man of God, you wonderful man of God." He always leaned toward love. He never had to worry about even trying to have a paradigm shift because he always saw you as wonderful, regardless of what your actions were, regardless of what you did. His mind was fixed that you are awesome. You are magnificent. And he would say that. He leaned toward love. Psychologists say that everyone in the world sees the world through their own lens, based off their own unique history. And it's not always accurate. We tend to see the world as we are, not as it is. If we're conscious of this fact, it can help us to slow down, to relax, to listen better, to be more patient and understanding, realizing that there is a good chance that we are wrong in what we're about to say. That our response may be inaccurate. It may be self-centered, filtered by our own skewed viewpoint of life. My ex-wife, my kid's mom, I saw her as the villain. I saw that she was the problem. She was the reason for all the problems in our marriage. You couldn't have told me she wasn't. If you had tried, you would have probably been cussed out. It made no sense to me. I could only see myself as the victim and her as the villain. My world was engulfed with this woman is tearing up our home. This woman is causing all these problems and issues in our family. I was so blinded by my own pain, by my own insecurities, by my own fears, by my own selfishness, religious beliefs, that I couldn't see the truth of the situation in my marriage. And actually, after I divorced and years went on, I began to look at it differently. I began to see that the things she did that I complained about were actually my fault. They were responses to ways I had behaved and had acted, and she was responding, but I was so blinded and ignorant at the time that I could not see that. But if I had simply leaned towards love, or had a paradigm shift in that moment and tried to see it from her viewpoint instead of my own, I would probably still be married and have a happy, healthy marriage with my kid's mom. So again, I only bring up these personal situations and these mistakes I've made because my hope, my desire is that you can learn from my mistakes. That you did not cause as many wounds as I did and don't have to apologize as much as I constantly do. So hopefully it blesses you and encourages you and causes you to look for a paradigm shift. Seek it. Because there are things that are happening all around you, to you, around you, and even you're doing that you may not even realize from a skewed, a filtered viewpoint where you cannot see the clear truth because of some kind of hindrance, because of the way we were raised. And remember what the psychologists say, we never see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Think about that. If you want to see more from us crazy Christians, hit the like button, subscribe button. If you're a returning guest and haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's free. Plus, hit the notifications bell to be notified every time we post a new video. Thanks for watching us crazy Christians. Until next time, be blessed.